The 2026 Mercedes-Maybach G-Class Grand Edition is not just another luxury SUV, it is a statement of heritage, engineering and ambition. Stretching longer than a Rolls-Royce Cullinan and weighing over 3,200 kilograms, this vehicle transforms the space it enters. Standing beside it feels like standing next to a monumental structure. Inside, it carries the comfort of a cathedral, a sanctuary of leather and light that functions as a modern moving fortress. With over 600 horsepower and a price tag exceeding $500,000, its presence defines power and exclusivity. Standing beside the Grand Edition, every other car nearby suddenly feels like background scenery to something far more commanding. On paper and on the road, it stands apart as one of the most exclusive machines ever built. This is the 2026 Mercedes-Maybach G-Class. The G-Class has carried the same iconic silhouette since 1979. Today, it stands as the pinnacle of automotive luxury. That square shape is not a limitation. It is the entire point. A design that refuses to compromise. Automotive heritage cannot be designed in a studio. It is earned over decades of performance and meaning. Its deep paint seems to swallow the light, turning every flat panel into a mirror for the world around it. Standing beside it, you feel its permanence. It isn't just resting on the road, it's anchored into it. The wide, confident wheels plant themselves firmly, giving an impression of strength that speed alone cannot match. This machine doesn't try to be the fastest, it aims to be the most commanding. The Maybach Grand Edition, where presence stays with you long after the vehicle is gone, your attention eventually moves toward the front of the vehicle, and this is where the design reveals one of its most powerful details. The grille does not simply greet observers the way most vehicle fronts do, it confronts them. Tall vertical chrome bars rise upward like the gates of an ancient structure, giving the front end a sense of strength that feels architectural rather than decorative. The hood stretches forward in a long, flat surface that seems almost endless from certain angles. It resembles a runway of polished metal leading directly into the grille. Beneath that calm surface lies enormous mechanical potential, but it does not need to advertise itself loudly. The strength exists quietly, like something that already knows it has nothing to prove. On either side of the grille sit the headlights, designed with sharp LED technology that blends modern precision with the classic G-Class form. They appear almost watchful, like silent guardians framing the front of the vehicle. Instead of aggressive shapes or exaggerated angles, the lighting design communicates calm authority. This is where the Grand Edition separates itself from many modern SUVs that attempt to look powerful through aggressive styling. Oversized air intakes, dramatic edges, and exaggerated headlights often try to convince buyers that the vehicle is strong. In contrast, the Maybach G-Class does something very different. It simply exists with confidence, and the effect is stronger because of that restraint. The vehicle does not attempt to persuade anyone of its importance. That conversation ended decades ago with the legacy of the G-Class itself. What remains now is refinement of that legacy into something far more luxurious. Then the doors open and another surprising detail appears. Inside this monumental body is space designed for 7 passengers. Not 5, not 6, but 7 full seats arranged across 3 rows. For a vehicle that already feels enormous from the outside, the extended wheelbase transforms the interior into something closer to a luxury lounge than a typical SUV cabin. That extended length pushes the G-Class into territory normally occupied by long wheelbase limousines. Even large luxury SUVs begin to feel modest when compared with the interior space available here. Vehicles like the Cadillac Escalade or other 3-row competitors suddenly appear more like practical family transportation rather than expressions of ultimate luxury. The Grand Edition approaches the concept differently. It does not treat the third row as an afterthought or a compromise. Instead, every seat inside the vehicle receives the same level of craftsmanship and comfort. Each row benefits from identical materials, identical attention to detail, and identical comfort technology. There is no hierarchy inside the cabin. No passenger receives a lesser experience simply because of their seating position. From the front row to the third row, every seat is treated like a throne. And the moment you step fully inside the cabin, you realize something important. The outside world does not simply become quieter, it almost disappears. The moment you step inside the Mercedes-Maybach G-Class Grand Edition, the outside world begins to fade. This machine offers something closer to a private sanctuary where the atmosphere commands your complete attention. Every surface carries leather that feels impossibly soft, selected by artisans for how it responds to your touch. The seats are living surfaces that adapt to your body, anticipating your comfort with heating and cooling. When the door closes with a vault-like seal, the noise level drops dramatically into a physical silence. Ambient lighting flows gently along the edges, shifting from cool blue to warm amber to match your mood. The dashboard balances digital technology with traditional craftsmanship, ensuring calm dominates every journey. Experience a level of acoustic isolation that changes the entire meaning of travel. Welcome to the sanctuary. Wood trim appears across several interior surfaces, carrying the natural patterns of real forests within the cabin. These materials add warmth and authenticity, reminding passengers that the vehicle blends modern engineering with timeless craftsmanship. Metal accents appear beside them, polished carefully, so that they reflect light without becoming distracting. Every design choice feels deliberate. The 7 seats are arranged within this environment, so that each passenger experiences the same level of comfort and attention to detail. Unlike many luxury vehicles that prioritize the driver, the Grand Edition distributes its craftsmanship equally. The result is an interior that feels less like a traditional vehicle cabin and more like a carefully constructed universe of its own. Leaving it, even briefly, begins to feel like stepping away from something rare. And yet, even after experiencing that interior, there is still an important question. Machines like this often invite criticism. The first reaction usually comes quickly. It is too large, too heavy, too expensive. Many will say it still resembles a military vehicle from another era. Those observations are not entirely wrong. In fact, they are easy conclusions to reach when looking at the numbers alone. A vehicle weighing more than 3,000 kilograms and carrying a price well above $500,000 will naturally raise questions. Practicality is not the first word that comes to mind, but something changes when you understand the intention behind its existence. The Grand Edition was never built to answer practical questions. It was created for a completely different purpose. It exists for people who no longer measure their choices using the usual formulas of efficiency or convenience. Many criticisms come from those who were never meant to be its audience. Some evaluate vehicles by comparing fuel cost or resale value. Those approaches make sense for most vehicles, but they completely miss the philosophy behind a machine like this. The Grand Edition does not attempt to defend itself. It does not try to prove its value in logical arguments. It simply exists, confident that its buyer already understands what it represents. This vehicle is designed for a very specific type of customer. Someone who has already reached a level of success where transportation is no longer about necessity. Someone who stopped needing to prove anything years ago. For people like that, the vehicle they choose becomes less about function and more about alignment with their identity. When someone like that first sees the silhouette of the Grand Edition, the reaction is immediate. They recognize something familiar within its design. The confidence of its stance and the clarity of the lines reflect the same ambition that helped them reach their own position. For them, this is not a purchase. It is recognition. The price, exceeding $500,000, is not meant to shock. It is meant to reinforce the exclusivity of a machine that provides the ultimate luxury of space. The G-Class silhouette has existed since 1979 as a rugged military vehicle. Mercedes-Benz is not abandoning this past. It is amplifying it through handcrafted comfort. It presents its own interpretation of ultra-luxury, one that combines military strength, architectural design, and handcrafted comfort into a single, unmistakable identity. Seeing their reflection in that deep bodywork, the buyer realizes the machine reflects their own ambition. It is a handshake between two perfectly aligned forces. The 2026 Mercedes-Maybach G-Class Grand Edition doesn't just drive through time. It bends time around itself. The standard has changed. The Mercedes-Maybach G-Class Grand Edition is a masterpiece of presence. Its reflective bodywork captures the world, turning the vehicle into a living mirror. Beneath this striking exterior lies a 600 horsepower engine, delivering smooth, controlled power that feels effortless. Inside, the cabin is a sanctuary of quiet luxury, where handcrafted materials meet seamless technology to create a timeless atmosphere. This vehicle represents the ultimate evolution of the G-Class, respecting its 1979 military roots while pushing into territory few have ever explored. It is not just transportation, it is an undeniable presence that ultimately defines a category of its own. Many luxury SUVs promise comfort and power. This one promises something deeper, a sense of permanence. When the Grand Edition moves through a city street or rests quietly outside a building, it changes the atmosphere around it. The tall silhouette, the reflective bodywork, and the fortress-like stance create a visual weight that very few vehicles can replicate. Inside the cabin, that philosophy continues. 7 seats surrounded by silence, craftsmanship, and technology remind passengers that luxury at this level is about space, calm, and control. They are searching for a machine that reflects the altitude they have already reached in life, something that aligns with their sense of achievement and confidence. The 2026 Mercedes-Maybach G-Class Grand Edition bends time around itself and leaves an impression that will be remembered long after it disappears from the road.